Hello, everyone, and welcome to another excellent episode of Stars of Big Sky Country, the series that spotlights those that have made an impact at the high school, collegiate, or professional level right here in the 406. And today's guest, we've got back-to-back ladies on the show, so should be a fun one because we are checking in with a digger from the lovely city of Butte by way of Kalispell, Montana, Glacier High School. It is Montana Tech's own Aubrie Rademacher. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's harder to get the girls on the show just because they're a bit more shy, and you guys are very busy. I'm finding out it's life, right? But you are Montana through and through. It seems like, which we'll talk about as you come from Kalispell, played for Glacier High School, and now you're an Orediggers down in Butte. But we like to start things off with an icebreaker. So last episode we talked about the best jam or jelly for a PB&J. So apparently my vote was strawberry, hers was raspberry. But from you, I got to know smooth or crunchy peanut butter.
Smooth.
Okay.
Smooth. Yep.
I like there's people that swear by crunchy and I just don't get it. It's like it messes with the consistency of the rest of the sandwich
I
and
agree.
I'm just not a fan. All right, so we got one for smooth in the tick column for the PB&J. All right, but the real icebreaker is what's it like to be you, Aubrey Rademacher?
What's it like to be me? Well, it's fun. I'm really busy. Um, I feel like I always got stuff going on. My life's never boring. It's been fun. I, I like being Aubrie Rademacher.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you like it, I think that's what works. But, you have quite a resume. I mean, you were all conference honorable mention just this year, but then in high school, you were first team all conference, all state. Your senior year, you were two-time all conference for volleyball, academic, all state 10 times, and she was a fan show player of the game recently, February 6th against Providence. So let's go ahead and go back to Glacier. It's funny having you on here being from Kalispell because when I moved to Great Falls, being from Spokane, everybody was just like, "Oh, like Montana, is it everything that you hoped it would be?" And Great Falls is very much not like you expect Montana to be because all the postcards are from Yellowstone and Bozeman and Glacier National Park. And I'm like, it's not a postcard city. So tell me, firsthand, what was it like growing up in a postcard city in Montana?
Gorgeous. I whenever anyone ever asks me where I'm from, I always tell them Kalispell, and if you haven't been, you should go. I mean, the Montana summer, Kalispell summer up there is just one everyone needs to experience. I grew up on the lake. I've been up to Glacier National Park a few times. It is gorgeous. You're right. It is a postcard city town. Um, when I was younger, it was a lot smaller, and every single time I go back now, especially since COVID, it's grown a lot. So when I'm back there in the summer, I'm going through traffic, and I hate traffic, but it's something that comes along with living in a beautiful town, and it's grown a lot.
Yeah, we were talking about me and one of the coaches here because he's from Oregon, and so we were talking about how we've been introduced to all the different cities and the people that make them up, and we said Great Falls is very much it's the biggest or the smallest city or the biggest town you've ever seen. It's right on that border of being town or city, and it's very blue collar. And then you have Billings that has like the ego, like we're Billings, Montana, like we're the best. And then you have Bozeman, which has all the transplants, Missoula, which is college town, and then Kalispell and Glacier isn't transplants, it's the money town of people that were born and raised here. So depending on where they were born and raised, they all migrate to Kalispell if they want to be Montana forever. So I don't know, is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I'd say, in my opinion, I'm probably biased. It's a very desirable town, so I could most definitely see that a lot of people are planning if they're retiring or whatever, wanting to be up in a really pretty location in Montana. I would say so.
Yeah, my wife and I we spent an anniversary there last year up in Big Fork, and then we drove around Flathead Lake. Polson was gorgeous. We had no idea that because I've seen the Polson Pirates play, and I was like, oh, small school, okay, so little town, and it was like one of the most gorgeous cities or towns that I've ever seen. And then there's the outdoor roller coaster. We hit up a great sushi spot in Kalispell, so you guys really have it going pretty well up there in Glacier. So what was it like being a member of, is it the Lady Wolf Pack? Is that how you guys are referred to?
The Lady Wolf Pack, yep.
And so how was your high school experience?
Super good. It was really fun. We always all 4 years made it to the state tournament. A lot of success down there. I went through a coaching change my senior year, but both my coaches were awesome. I think they really helped me get to my next level. They did a fantastic job. I loved being a Lady Wolfpack. Awesome teammates, everyone. It was great community. A lot of people, Kalispell are super. It's kind of like Butte in a way. The community is really supportive.
I've been there for covered double A or single A soccer championship, the Wildcats. They were really good. That was a beautiful school to be at, just with the scenery. And then I was at a football game the night before, first round of the playoffs for the Wolfpack, and I thought they had like the best backdrop in sports as far as like football fields go. And you guys have the Range Riders, and that has like one of the best backdrops. I mean, it's just like scenery, scenery, scenery everywhere, everything all day.
Right.
So yeah, you guys definitely got it good there. Were you born and raised in Montana?
Yes, in Kalispell. Yep.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
Montana through and through. So, like I said, your resume very decorated. But the one thing that stands out is that you were two-time all-conference volleyball. Now, a few episodes back, I talked to a girl, Rama Pace, who is phenomenal at both volleyball and basketball. Everybody thought she was going to be taking her career in basketball to the next level, and she's decided volleyball. You're kind of the opposite. So why basketball? Like, what changed there?
I've always just had more love for basketball. I really enjoyed volleyball. My senior year, I had options to do either, but I always felt like it was right. My heart kind of lied more with basketball. It might have had something to do with my family. Well, I guess my parents weren't like super basketball oriented, but my brother had played basketball. I grew up two cousins live in a couple houses down. It's just always basketball.
So clearly a family affair is, you guys in the hoop. So, okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. But to be that good at volleyball, I mean, was it a particularly tough decision when it came to, I'm guessing, junior, senior year, like, hey, what do I want to do? And then I imagine probably discussions with your coaches is probably a big part of that.
Yeah, it's weird because I really wasn't completely set on playing collegiate sports until I hit my last COVID, or because I graduated in 2020
Oh,
and
wow.
stripped of my last basketball games. And before that, I was kind of, set on I'm just gonna go be a student. I'm gonna enjoy 4 years of college, just take it easy on my body. And then we found out the night before we were going to go play in the 3-4 game, or well, we were going to play into the game to get into the third and fourth place at state. And we were told that we weren't going to continue the tournament. And it was my senior year. And it was honestly really heartbreaking. And it was almost a split second decision. And I knew I wasn't ready to step off the court quite yet. So it was kind of easy, but volleyball, I don't know if that was ever something I was super serious in considering about playing in college. It was more if I was going to go anywhere, I was going to do basketball.
Which is crazy. You're the first person I've talked to that year was, the COVID year, your senior year. And I remember like there's people that I know, but as far as like to this capacity talking about it, I mean, you guys were well, not mid-season, but you guys were in the middle of a season as far as like you still had, divisionals and then the state tournament to crown a champion, and it just gets brought to a screeching halt. I mean, what is that like, and how did you, approach the remainder of the year? Did you study harder or try to stay active as best you could? Like, what does that do to a high school student?
Um, it was weird because I mean, the first thing that we were told is you'll come back in a week or you're going to come back after spring break. Like stay on top of your work now, do everything because we'll be meeting back up. And then obviously that didn't happen.
No, it
Um,
didn't.
it was really weird with staying active, especially because all my life I've grown up going to a gym and
Hmm.
I'm not really a runner. I don't like to go outside and go run for fun. I like the weights. I love lifting weights. And to not be able to go to a gym was really weird. Especially like I mean, I have a hoop outside. It's not the same as going into the gym. So our coach was sending us a lot of body weight workouts, and I did have to run outside, which I wasn't too fond of, but I was like, this is the only thing I can do. Um, so the workouts we've found ways to do it. Studying, I would say I was pretty on top of it in the beginning, and towards the end, I was over it. But I had good enough grades to where I kept all my A's, but it was hard. It got hard, because when you have so much free time and then finally you have to put time aside to study, but somehow we did it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those scenarios where, like you said, you guys were told you were going to be back in a week, but then all of a sudden a week turns into, three and then a month and then a couple of months and you're just like, what is happening? So I'm glad that you were able to find ways to one, stay busy. And trust me, I feel you on the whole run for fun and not being a huge fan of it. So I get
No.
that. But yeah, all academic state 10 times. So clearly you had a knack for it. And then we'll talk about your major at Tech, which chemistry. Okay, that sounds like fun. But you decide, okay, basketball's for me. Let's go to Butte, be an Oredigger. What was the conversation and the ultimate decision maker as far as, Butte's where I'm going to go and play basketball at?
I had been previously talking to my parents about schools. My mom was always pushing for tech. She knew that I was always kind of a STEM girl. Um, and so the website says chemistry. They never changed it. I'm biology, but it's same difficulty, I would say. Um, she knew that I was kind of a sciencey brain. Um, and I don't really know what my complete push was because when I had come to Butte to play Butte High my senior year, that was the first year they got put into our conference. I told myself I'd never live here. And I was like, it is not near as pretty as Kalispell. Like, I know Bozeman is really pretty. Sky always is blue. And I was like, Butte, I just don't know. But I think after I took a little bit of consideration and the coaches did a really good job at recruiting, they were calling me a couple times a week, made it very, very obvious that they wanted me to come play for them. I had a couple Zoom calls with the girls. I mean, it was just like the effort was there and it made it feel homey just like right away. Um, My mom talked me into Butte pretty good. She said, like, no, it's a really cool town. There's a lot of cool history. I promise you. Like, I think you would love it. I've known of a few graduates from Glacier that had gone to tech and had good careers in football and volleyball and stuff. So it kind of swayed me a little bit. My mom did a good job.
Moms tend to do that, so good on her for
Yep.
helping the decision. But it is funny how things work out like that because, yeah, I think
Right.
there's been a few times in everybody's life where it's just like, I'm never doing that or I'll never be there. And then they end up doing that or being there. And so to hear you
Yep.
talk about it, it's pretty comical how life has a way of working that out. So you get there, basketball. Now, I know your coach, he was one of the first coaches I ever met when I got here, Coach Graham. And so obviously, like he knows how to assemble a solid roster, but it would have been what I think midway through your career after the first or second year that he finally arrives there. So, we talked about coaching changes and how that can really affect, especially people at the collegiate level, because, that's the recruiting right there. That's who helped kind of usher you into that program. So what was that transition like? Obviously, we can look now and say that it worked out pretty well because you guys have been solid contenders since he got there. But obviously, there had to have been some uncertainty at some point in time.
Yeah, it was weird because he was hired August of, I think was it 22?
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
would say
think
it was
so.
22. Yeah, so we had gone a couple months in the summer without knowing who our coach was going to be, which is weird and hard because summer is really the developmental stage. It's the off season. This is when you're getting better. This is when, we're given coach structured workouts. And we had our assistant coach. She was still sending us some things, but like you said, like the uncertainty it's weird. It was super weird, but we did what we could. I think the transition was smooth considering the circumstances of, getting there a couple weeks before we get on the court because we start right away in August.
Yeah.
The second we get to school, we're open gyms right away. We're lifting, we're doing conditioning. I thought the transition was pretty smooth. The two coaches are very different. So I would say that was a little getting used to. Buying into Coach Graham's program was great. It's a great program, but it's been a lot different than what I've had in the past. As everyone knows, he's very run and gun. It's like a 5 in, 5 out, 4 in, 4 out, and that kind of stuff. That style. And I've never played for a coach like that before, so it was interesting. But I think with all of us buying into it, we've had a lot of success with it.
This episode of Stars of Big Sky Country is brought to you by Russell Country Federal Credit Union, where they believe in helping you and your children achieve financial success while building a better community. They want to be your financial home, so stop in at their Great Falls or Fairfield office and get started on your new account today.
Yeah, he's always been very open when he's talked to me and stuff. Very accommodating. He was running one of the track and field events, which was one of the first events that I like statewide that I covered here. And he was always just like, you got everything you need, here's this and talking to me about this. And it's just funny to interact with different coaches and you wonder if their approach to just regular people like me is the same to coaching. But all I've ever heard about Coach Graham is like he assembled a state championship football team and 8-man at Belt, which he unfortunately never got to be part of. But every coach that was there for that said that this was his team that he was gracious enough to leave us before he left. And same thing with basketball. So I know of him and how good he is, but like I said, I wanted to know kind of about that transitional phase. When did you realize it was going to work? When you met him and talked to him, like what was the moment where you're like, okay, this is, I think we're onto something here.
You know, I would say that it's kind of a long process. Like, and maybe it's because this year we've had a lot more success. I would say that it was kind of bought into the first 2 years. And then this year it really, I don't, that's a tough question because I think that it's hard to get everybody on the same page. Um, you kind of, you do what your coach tells you to do.
Yeah.
And I think like this year, we really got that sense of like believing in ourselves, believing in his plan. And it's totally shown. I think that there was a lot of trials and tribulations in the past 2 years of, like we really want to do, we really want to get there. And I think finally this year we have really stepped up to that level. We have really put our trust in that, and it shows.
Yeah. I would agree. So what does it mean to you to be an ore digger? Like what is that, being a Montana Tech ore digger girls basketball player mean?
I've been asked this question a lot. And you'd think that I'd have a good answer right off the top of my head. But when I think of being a Montana Tech Lady Oredigger, I think of more than just basketball. Um, I think that this community and the kind of lessons that I've learned along with being a student athlete, um, it's hard. The classes that I've had to take, some of them are terrible. And I have really late nights studying. I mean, it's all worth it, of course. Um, but there's been a lot of perseverance, determination. Um, to be a lady war digger, I'd say it's rewarding.
That's good.
It's the best experience. Yeah.
That's good. Like I like that answer. I really do. I have not heard that answer yet before when I've asked that question about any person in any school or program that they're part of. So I like that. Rewarding. Very good. What was you, I guess, the biggest difference between being a Lady Wolfpack and a Lady Oredigger? Like what was the definitive jump as far as from one level to the next and I guess just mentality?
Um, Honestly, I would say fundamentals is a huge jump because I think that high school stresses fundamentals, but not as much when you get to the collegiate level. Um, I mean, a lot of times when you're a high school athlete, you're playing with a lot of other athletes. Not as much like some girls are there because they just want to be a part of a team. They might be super good at soccer. I played with a couple girls who were all-state soccer players, and they were really good basketball players too, but like, that's where their focus was, but they loved to be a part of the basketball team. And I mean, they're super athletic, so fun to play. It's having those different sports involved. But when you go to the collegiate level, I mean, we're all here for basketball. The level of competitiveness and the fundamentals are just they're just higher.
Okay.
It is a lot harder, and you come from being the best at your school to playing with girls who are also the best at their school.
Yes.
And it's really competitive and it's challenging. And sometimes, you think like, oh, I should be out on the court, but you got to remember everybody here is good.
Yeah,
So
that's the
it's
one thing I never liked about the recruiting process is, you go to these schools and you tell these, 16, 17, maybe 18-year-old kids how good they are, right? And then you bring them aboard and you've told that to literally the rest of the team, right? That's how recruiting works. And I remember, if you're a football fan at all, Cam Newton, when he was doing that, before he did that MVP season, that went to the Super Bowl, he was really struggling with Carolina. And one of the, analysts on like ESPN said, "Look, this is the first time he's ever lost, like in his entire career, and he has to get used to that." I mean, you talk about a number one high school recruit, goes to college, plays for Auburn, goes undefeated, has one of the biggest upsets in school history over like Alabama or whoever it was, and it's like now he's drafted number one to a team that is not good. Like what did you think was going to happen? It's just this is the first time he's ever lost, and there's going to be a transition. So I'm glad that there's people that are aware of that aspect of it, and that you could fully admit, like, hey, I went from being the best on my team to now being the best, or to being on a team full of the best from those schools. It's I can't imagine that's easy.
yeah, right. It's yeah. Yes, you said it perfectly.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about life after basketball. I mean, I don't know if you have plans to try and play professionally at any level, but obviously, if you're a biology major, you have your goals in mind. So, what is it about biology that speaks to you?
I'm more on the organismal or yeah, the organismal cells and that kind of stuff, not animals. I get
Okay.
that question a lot. Um, and I would say I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to be in the health field. Since I was young, I would say it kind of sparked my interest when I was maybe a sixth grader. It was a
Okay.
long time ago. I mean, everyone grows up saying, "Oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor." But like, I did want to be a doctor. Um, since I've started my college career, I've kind of leaned a little more towards being a physician assistant. Only 2 years of school. They do similar things to doctors. If I get bored, I can switch my specialty, which I've always thought was really cool. Um, Really flexible. So yeah, I would just say that I've always kind of wanted to be in that field to help people, and I've got some experience with that. A couple summers I've worked in a clinic, and I always told myself like this will make me or break me. Doing getting that hands-on experience, and I ended up really liking it. So I'm really excited to further my career, and I'm planning to apply to PA school in the next year. Hoping to go to Boise,
Okay.
Idaho. Yep.
Okay. Got family in Boise. Nothing wrong with that. Boise's a great place to be. So is it accurate to say that this is it for you as far as a basketball in your hand and feet on the court? You're not going to try for Europe or any of those other leagues or anything? It's
Not planning on it, which really
okay.
makes me really sad because I do love basketball and I know
Yeah.
a lot of people. I played for 5 years, and a lot of people at this point get ready, kind of ready to move on. And I'd say I'm not completely ready to move on. I wish I could be in college forever playing ball, but um, I've kind of accepted that there comes a point where one, my body might not be able to handle it anymore. Might be a little easier to just you walking around in a hospital. But yeah, no plans to further my basketball career.
Well, that is very bittersweet. I think obviously it's on to better things as far as, you can get your career finally started, but closing one chapter and starting the next is never easy. In fact, some insider, anybody that you thought was like prepared or had, one foot out the door as far as accepting moving on, they're full of crap. Like, no, nobody's ever ready to just close one chapter and start the new and move on. Like nobody's ready for that. So you're
I,
not alone in how you feel by any means. So
yeah.
don't worry about it. All right. Well, now that we've covered from high school, college, and now what life after basketball looks like for Ms. Rademacher, let's go ahead and have some fun here. I got to know, how haunted is Butte?
Haunted?
That's all I hear about is how haunted Butte is. Like they're like, don't stay overnight. Like you can go to Butte and you can see all the sights and whatever, but don't stay after dark.
Honestly, in all my years of living here, I have not really heard anything about it being haunted. I don't know why I haven't heard anything.
Wow. Okay. It's stuff with the mines. I'll tell you that right now. Like there's
Well, okay. Yes, now that you say that, I've heard a time or two. Um, I haven't really dabbled with the mines though, so I I don't know much.
like there was a guy I knew who played for Carroll that said that the whoever the athletic director or administrator was in charge of this part of the booking was at that time would put players from out of town intentionally into this one hotel because of its paranormal activity, and it would like keep the players up all night because there would be sounds, noises, and things just going on in one. And he's like, my buddy, I'm pretty sure like he had a visit from a legit ghost in the middle of the night because he was not right for that game the next day. So that's what I've heard. But it's interesting that you haven't heard very much of that. So okay.
Well, I guess okay, so I live in an old house,
Mm, okay.
so it makes a lot of sounds. Usually, I'm here by myself,
Wow.
so a lot of times, I mean, maybe it's just the old house. So maybe it's a ghost. I don't know. Creaky. It's awfully creaky.
Awfully creaky. Okay. All right. I'll take that. I will accept that answer. Who was your favorite basketball player growing up? You had to have one with what you've told me about your growing up and your family and everything. You had to have a favorite player.
You know, I've watched NBA more than WNBA, and I would say growing up because my brother was always a LeBron fan. Of course, I was a
Oh,
LeBron fan, but as
okay.
of lately, I'm not a LeBron fan. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of different guys that I really liked watching Dwayne Wade. It was when LeBron, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade were all on the Heat, that big three.
Yeah.
Um, I liked watching him a lot. I've always liked watching James Harden. Steph Curry, of course, everyone likes watching him. I would say those are probably around that's when I was watching basketball more. I don't tune in as much anymore, but when I was watching NBA with my brother, that's kind of those are the players we like to watch. But I'd say if I was watching girls, Elaine Del Don or Skylar Diggins were up there for me. I liked watching.
Okay. Well, I feel like that kind of answers the next one, but I'll still ask Jordan or LeBron.
You think I'm gonna say LeBron, but I'm going Jordan.
Wow, I like it. That is a legit, genuine answer right there. Okay. Thank you. All right. And I'm going to keep tally of that one too for when my friends ask me next time. I'm like, I'm talking to legit athletes, okay, from the great state of Montana. And they said, even though they grew up watching LeBron, it's MJ all day. Okay. So awesome. This is why I picked these. These are the best interviews right here. Honesty. Um, who on your team, you don't have to name names, but is there a teammate of yours either right now at Tech or with Glacier where they're just that, oh, like, oh, Ashley, or, oh, Jessica. There's just like everything that can kind of go wrong for them does, and it just wouldn't be you guys without them on the team.
I won't name names specifically, but our freshmen, it's because they're so funny. It's because they're so funny. And they just do things sometimes that just crack me up. But they're such hardworking girls. So you know that when, they accidentally do something, they have the best intentions ever all the time. Um, but yeah, nope, they were always keeping us on our toes. They crack me up. They're funny.
What was one of your favorite moments from Glacier High School, whether it be volleyball or basketball?
Ooh. One one that always sticks out in my head. I have to bring it up because she was in the Frontier Conference. It was my junior year. We beat Helena High. This in high school.
Hmm.
Beat Helena High in their gym for the first time, I think, in 2 years. And it was when they had Jamie Pickens. And of course, everybody knows. I mean, she is one heck of an athlete. And also Michaela Cloker played for them too, and I ended up getting to play with her for a couple of years. Their team was, I mean, they were to back state champs. So for us, that was probably the game that really stuck out in my head the most. It was a huge win, big night for us. Um, and then obviously college basketball. I think my best memory to date was this year beating Carroll at our place because I hadn't beat them in the previous 4 years. So to finally get a win over a team you have never beat, that's gonna be something I remember for the rest of my life.
There is something about the girls' side of the Frontier Conference because it's always beating Carroll. It's always beating
Yeah,
Carroll. It's never, oh, that time we beat MSU Northern, or that time that we stuck it to Rocky or Western. It's always Carroll. So that's hilarious that you mentioned
they're a
that.
great program. I
They
mean,
are. Yeah.
very successful. So getting a win over them, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. If you can recall, your greatest trash talking moment.
Oh, kind of embarrassing.
Ooh.
This year we went down to Arizona to play um, in a tournament. We played, I think it was Benedictine, and there was this girl and I, and we were kind of getting at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was getting physical. Uh, she, I reached around her, got a foul, and as soon as I did that, I mean, I think she was getting fed up with me. I was getting fed up with her, and she's after the whistle's blown, was throwing elbows. And I'm just like, oh gosh. And she like turns around and looks at me. And I look at her dead in the eyes and I go, do it again. And she goes, what? And I go, do it again. And the ref comes up and he's like, girls, no, no, no. Like, and I'm like, okay, he's right. Like, I need to tone it down. They take the ball out of bounds. Instantly, I fouled her again. I go straight to the bench. So I thought I was being all big and cool, saying like take it at me again. Like we'll see what happens. And I get my first foul right away. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm not trash talking anymore.
Wow, girls are vicious in sports, man. Yeah. You guys,
Ended up winning that game though, so it's okay.
oh, it's all good with the W, right?
It's all good. It's all good. We'll forget about it.
So this question, I love it, but I haven't found the best answer yet. I've had some good answers, and there are a variety of things from like, oh, this we went on just this random camping trip one time to, oh, I shoveled my sidewalk in shorts and a tank top when it was like 20 below. So what is the most Montana thing you've ever done?
Um, I grew up with a really good, some really good family friends. They owned a little private lake. It's kind of up, it's in the Flathead area. Um, and we'd go up there, we'd camp, four-wheeling, dirt biking, catching turtles with our hands. We wouldn't use nets. Um, we'd get in the water, go crawdad fishing or crawdad hunting, you'd say. I'd say that's pretty Montana, getting really dirty. We didn't come
Okay.
back from those camping trips clean at all. Dirt, dirt in our hair. I mean, we were always looking for ticks. We're
Oh, geez.
I mean, I'd say it's pretty Montana. We were getting
Okay.
dirty.
I will accept that answer. I think that is a solid answer. So, okay, we're getting better. We're trending in the right direction with that question.
Yeah,
One question that kind of happened organically, I think like 3 or 4 episodes into the series, was the phrase Montana tough came about. So, one of the last ones for you is what does it mean to be Montana tough? And is that a real thing?
I most definitely think it's a real thing. Butte tough in particular.
Oh,
I've been hearing that term since I was in high school. Um, Whenever we'd have to go play Butte, we'd always hear the term Butte tough, and I was always like, "What does this mean?" But honestly, being here, and I would say Montana too, like, I mean, we're just getting down to the nitty gritty, hardworking. I'd say Montanans are just in general very tough people.
okay. So she didn't just go Montana tough. She said that there's Butte tough, which what you are now. Okay. I was going to segue that into the next question of in the Rademacher multiverse, is there a different path that you were like maybe this close to taking? Because obviously, you said it was basketball, your heart was more there than volleyball, and now you're going to go into biology because you've always had a passion for that since you were very little. But obviously there's things about where you grew up, Glacier, and then where you played and where you are now, like Butte, that helped kind of shape you and take you in that direction. Is there anything specific that stands out that helped get you there, or could we have been seeing the all-state or all-conference volleyball Aubrie Rademacher that's a major in something completely different from biology?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I feel like I've always kind of had my head in that direction. Um, I mean, obviously I told you that I was second guessing even playing a sport, but no, I would say I've always kind of been leaning towards that medical side. Um, and when I had the decision to go play basketball, I was there and I was going to do it. I was going to be committed. I've never really been one to just kind of drop something, you know. If I'm going to do it, I'm sticking with it and I'm going to finish through. As you can see, I'm in my fifth year. I didn't go in everyone that I went into with my freshman year. I mean, I'm the last one standing from that class.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. And we always like to wrap up each episode with a little tidbit from our guest, whether it be advice or just a moment of Zen wisdom from Aubrey Rademacher.
Ooh, if I were to give wisdom, some advice, you know, something that I've learned from Coach Graham, we're on the topic of basketball. Don't take life too seriously. I think I came in going to school and I was just constantly stressed. I mean, to the point where I was in tears a lot because I'm trying to balance class. I'm trying to balance basketball, and having a social life and having friends and keeping everything at 100. And I think I've learned through the years, and especially with Coach Graham, that it's okay not to be perfect. You're gonna get a bad test grade, and trust me, I've gotten plenty of those. You're not gonna have great games all the time, and to put that kind of pressure on yourself is only gonna make life not as enjoyable. So don't take things too hard. Life is serious, but you gotta be easy on yourself. And I think because of that, I've learned to enjoy life a lot more.
Okay. I really thought it was going to be life short, get dirty, because we talked about your camping trips and everything. But
Go hunt crawdads. Go feeling. Go. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, this has been a lot of fun here. Like I said, it's been great to watch you play. The few times that I got to in person were fantastic. You're a player of the game, and we had a great time doing that interview and everything. But yeah, you've been an extremely friendly person. Coach Graham's a great guy. It's nice to see that his attitude is translating well to his team. And yeah, I thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right, folks. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe in all the ways that you can. We're on Facebook, Instagram, even X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And if you want to see these episodes in their entirety, it is on YouTube, the Fan Show channel. So this is the bi-weekly show, Stars of Big Sky Country. And until next time, for Aubrie Rademacher of Montana Tech, I am the team man, Richard Teeman. You can catch us among the stars of Big Sky Country. We'll see you next time.